I practiced day and night for her farewell speech, but when I stood with the mic in hand, she walked out holding another boy's arm, leaving me speaking to an empty corner of the hall. I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. 3 months ago, I was the guy who had it all figured out. Tonight I'm typing this alone in a studio apartment that smells like instant ramen and regret. Her name was Sarah. We'd been together for 4 years. She was getting transferred to Seattle for her dream job, and I'd been planning the perfect farewell party for weeks. I practiced that speech every night in the mirror, memorizing every word about how proud I was, how we'd make long distance work, how she was the love of my. But here's the thing nobody does about being the good guy. Sometimes get tired of it. Sometimes start wondering if we're missing out. It started innocently enough. Jessica from my work had been flirting with me for months. Little touches on my arm during meetings, lingering looks, the kind of attention that made me feel like I was still attractive, still desirable. Sarah was so focused on her career transition, so stressed about the move, that she barely seemed to notice I existed anymore. Or such a catch, Jessica would say. I can't believe Sarah doesn't appreciate what she has. Those words hit different when feeling invisible in own relationship. The night it happened was 2 weeks before Sarah's farewell party. She was working late again, finalizing her transition documents. Jessica texted me around 9 p.m. Want to grab drinks? I had the worst day. I told it was just being a good friend. Just one drink to vent about work stuff. We both needed to decompress. One drink became 3. Her hand found mine across the table. She leaned in close when she talked, her breath warm against my ear. She smelled different than Sarah vanilla instead of that light floral perfume I'd known for years. Deserve someone who puts first, she whispered. When she invited me back to her place I said yes. I actually said yes. I won't go into details because honestly, the physical part isn't what destroyed me. It was the moment after lying there when I realized what I'd just thrown away. 4 years of trust. 4 years of Sarah believing I was the kind of man who would never betray her. But I convinced it was just a mistake. A moment of weakness. Sarah would never find out, and I'd never do it again. I'd just be the perfect boyfriend until she left, and then we'd figure out long distance. Except Jessica wasn't done with me. She started texting constantly, showing at my desk, making little comments about how alive I seem now. She wanted more than one night. She wanted me to leave Sarah for her. When I told her it was a mistake, that I loved my girlfriend, she just smiled. Does Sarah know how much I love her? Because I have photos that say otherwise. Mine went cold. In my stupidity, I hadn't even thought about her taking pictures during our encounter. But there they were on her phone, unmistakably me, unmistakably not with Sarah. She didn't want money. She wanted me to break with Sarah and be with her instead. And if I didn't, she'd make sure Sarah saw exactly what kind of man she'd 4 years on. I was trapped. Every day until the farewell party was. Sarah would excitedly tell me about her new apartment in Seattle, about how she'd found this amazing little coffee shop near her new office, about how she couldn't wait for me to visit. Meanwhile Jessica was circling like a shark. She'd somehow gotten Sarah's number, her social media, even her work email. One wrong move and my entire world would implode. The night of the farewell party, I stood in our bedroom watching Sarah get ready. She wore that blue dress I'd bought her for her birthday, the one that made her eyes look like the ocean. She was radiant, practically glowing with excitement about her new adventure. I'm so nervous about speech, she laughed, adjusting her earrings in the mirror. Don't make me cry in front of everyone. I wanted to tell her everything right then, wanted to fall on my knees and beg for forgiveness. But I was a coward. I thought I could still control this situation, still find a way out that didn't destroy her. The party was perfect. All our friends were there, her family had driven in from 2 states away. The restaurant was decorated exactly how she dreamed. Everyone was laughing, sharing Sarah's stories, celebrating this incredible woman who was brave enough to chase her dreams across the country. I kept checking my phone, terrified Jessica would show. She'd been ominously quiet all day, which somehow felt worse than her constant threats. Finally it was time for the speech. Sarah's dad handed me the microphone, beaming with pride. Sarah stood at the front of the room, surrounded by everyone who loved her, looking at me with such trust and adoration that my chest physically ached. I opened my mouth to deliver the speech I'd memorized, the one about how proud I was, how much I loved her, how nothing could ever change that. That's when Sarah's phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. I watched her face change as she looked at the screen. The color drained from her cheeks. Her hand started shaking. The entire room was watching me, waiting for me to start talking. But I couldn't look away from Sarah's face as she scrolled through what I already knew were photos of me with Jessica. She looked at me, and in that moment I saw 4 years of love in her eyes. Just like someone had flipped a switch. Without a word, she walked to the back of the room where Tom, her friend from college, was standing. She took his arm and walked straight out the door. I stood there with the microphone, watching the love of my disappear with another man, while 60 pairs of eyes stared at me in confusion. Sarah, her mom called out. Where is she going? I still had the microphone. The room was dead silent. Everyone was looking at me, answers I couldn't give without destroying Sarah even more than I already had. So I did the only thing I could do. I lied. She wasn't feeling well. She asked me to thank everyone for coming. But Sarah's sister was already checking her phone. Then her mom. Then her best friend. One by one I watched realization dawn on their faces as they saw what Jessica had sent to everyone Sarah cared about. The room didn't empty all at once. It was worse than that. People just started avoiding eye contact and having quiet conversations in corners. The party died a slow, agonizing while I stood there holding a microphone giving a speech to a room that was already gone. It's been 3 weeks since the party from. I keep thinking it get worse, and then it does. The morning after Sarah left, I woke to 47 missed calls and 2,000 text messages. Not from her, from everyone else. Her sister, her mom, her best friends, my own family. The photos Jessica sent weren't just to Sarah. She'd carpet bombed our entire social circle. My phone was buzzing so much I finally turned it off and sat in silence for 6 hours straight. When I finally turned it back on, there was one message from Sarah. I'm staying at Tom's tonight. Please don't contact me. We'll talk when I get back from Seattle. That's when it hit me. She was still going to Seattle, still starting her new job. But now she was going with Tom, the guy who'd always been just a friend, but looked at her the way I used to. I drove to Tom's apartment like a madman. I needed to explain to grovel to do something. But when I got there, Sarah's car was already packed with boxes. She was loading the last of her things with Tom helping her. She saw me pull and just shook her head. No tears, no screaming, no drama. Just this dead look in her eyes that scared me more than any anger could have. Sarah, please let me explain. Explain what? Her voice was flat, emotionless. That been sleeping with someone else. That lied to my face every day for weeks. That we're planning to give some beautiful speech about loving me while we're being blackmailed by side piece. Tom stepped closer to her, protective. I wanted to him, but the look on his face wasn't triumphant. It was sad, like he was genuinely heartbroken for what I'd put her through. I made a mistake, I said, knowing how pathetic it sounded. One terrible mistake. No. Sarah's voice cracked just a little. A mistake is forgetting to pick milk. This was a choice. Multiple choices. Every day chose to lie to me. She got in her car and Tom got in the passenger seat. Just like that she drove away to start her new, with him. The next few days blurred together. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus at work. Jessica kept texting me, acting like we were together now, like this was some romantic tree instead of the nuclear she detonated in my. No, we can be together properly, she said when she cornered me in the break room. No more sneaking around. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Insane. Destroyed my relationship. Ruined the woman I love. The woman who didn't appreciate she back. I saved from wasting more time with someone who took for granted. That's when I realized Jessica wasn't some master manipulator. She was just delusional. She genuinely convinced herself that destroying my was an act of love. I told her I never wanted to see her again and requested a transfer to a different department. But the damage was already done. Word had gotten around the office about what happened. People whispered when I walked by. Some looked at me with disgust, others with pity. Both felt equally awful. My friends stopped calling. Sarah's friends, who had become my friends over 4 years, blocked me on everything. Her family, who treated me like a son, acted like I died. The worst part was social media. Sarah hadn't posted anything, but other people had. Photos from her first week in Seattle, exploring the city with Tom. She looked happy. Not happy, not rebound happy. Actually genuinely happy. Meanwhile I was falling apart. I'd wake at 3 a.m. reaching for her side of the bed. I'd catch buying her favorite coffee creamer at the store. I'd start to text her about something funny that happened, then remember she wasn't mine to text anymore. 2 weeks after she left I finally got the call I'd been dreading. My mom, father and I are very disappointed. She said, no preamble. Sarah called to thank us for everything over the years. She was crying, honey. That sweet girl was crying because she felt bad about how this would affect our relationship with her family. That destroyed me. Even after I'd betrayed her, Sarah was worried about how it would other people. That's who she was. That's who I'd lost. We're raised better than this, Mom continued. I don't even know what to say to Pine. My own mother couldn't look at me the same way. My dad wouldn't even come to the phone. Work became unbearable. Not just because of Jessica, but because our entire office had been invited to Sarah's farewell party. Everyone knew what had happened. The partners started excluding me from client meetings. My reputation was. Then came the Facebook post that ended everything. Sarah's sister posted a long tribute about Sarah starting her new in Seattle. It didn't mention me by name, but it didn't need to. She talked about how proud she was of Sarah for walking away from someone who didn't deserve her love, and finding the courage to start fresh. The comments section was brutal. Friends, family, even people I barely knew, all talking about what a trash person Sarah's ex was. How glad they were that she dodged a bullet. How she deserved so much better. They weren't wrong. But seeing it spelled out in black and white, seeing how quickly 4 years of my had been erased and rewritten as a cautionary tale about what not to accept in a relationship, broke something in me. I lasted another week before I couldn't take it anymore. I quit my job, broke my lease, and moved 3 hours away to start over somewhere nobody knew my name or my story. But can't outrun the new city didn't make me feel better. The new job didn't erase what I'd done. Every woman I met, I compared to Sarah. Every relationship that failed, I knew it was because I was still broken from losing her. 6 months later I saw the engagement announcement on Instagram. Sarah and Tom, standing on what looked like the Seattle waterfront, her hand extended toward the camera showing a simple, elegant ring. She was glowing, he was looking at her like she hummed the moon. The caption was short, "Hey asked, I said yes. Here's to new beginnings and the love we deserve." That last part hit like the love we deserve. She'd found it with him. The love I'd had and thrown away for one night with someone who meant nothing. I closed Instagram and haven't opened it since. But the real punishment wasn't the social exile or the job loss or even watching her fall in love with someone else. It was waking every morning knowing that I'd had something perfect and destroyed it with my own hands. It's been 2 years since that night. 2 years since I stood with a microphone in my hand, watching the woman I loved walk out of my forever. I'm writing this because someone messaged me after my last post, asking if I ever got my happy ending. There's no happy ending, that's the point. Last month I got an invitation in the mail. Sarah and Tom's wedding. At first I thought it was cruel, maybe sent by accident, but then I saw the handwritten note tucked inside. I forgive but I'll never forget. I hope I've learned to forgive. I stared at that note for an hour. Even in her happiness, even after everything I'd put her through, she was still thinking about my healing. That's who Sarah was. That's who I'd lost. I didn't go to the wedding obviously. But I saw the photos, everyone posted them. She looked radiant in a simple white dress, surrounded by all the people who used to be in my too. Her dad walked her down the aisle with tears in his eyes, the same man who used to invite me to watch football and called me son. Tom's vows made it into someone's Instagram story. He talked about how Sarah had taught him what real love looked like. How she'd shown him that love meant choosing someone every single day, especially on the hard days. I had to turn my phone off for the rest of the weekend. The worst part isn't that she married someone else, it's that she married the right someone. Tom was everything I pretended to be but wasn't. Loyal, consistent, present. He didn't just love Sarah when it was convenient or when she was paying attention to him. He loved her when she was stressed, when she was focused on her career, when she wasn't giving him the validation he thought he deserved. He loved her the way I should have. I've been in therapy for 18 months now. Dr. Martinez keeps asking me what I've learned, what I would do differently. The answer changes every session, but it always comes back to the same thing: I was selfish. I thought love was about what I was getting instead of what I was giving. I thought Sarah owed me attention just because we'd been together for 4 years. I thought I deserved to feel desired and appreciated at all times. When she got busy with her career transition, instead of supporting her dreams, I took it personally. Instead of communicating that I felt neglected, I went looking for validation somewhere else. I was a child in a man's body, and Sarah paid the price for my immaturity. The affair wasn't really about Jessica. It was about me feeling sorry for and making that Sarah's problem. Jessica was just the weapon I used to my own. These days, I live alone in a 1-bedroom apartment 40 minutes from where I grew. I work a job that pays the bills but doesn't fulfill me. I don't date much, and when I do, it never goes anywhere. Not because I'm still hung on Sarah, but because I'm still figuring out how to be the kind of person who deserves love. Every woman I meet, I find wondering, would I choose her on the hard days? When she's stressed or distant or focused on something other than me? Would I love her enough to have difficult conversations instead of looking elsewhere for comfort? Most of the time I'm honest enough to admit the answer is probably not. I'm still too selfish, still too immature, still too much of a coward. My family speaks to me now, but it's different, polite, surface level. They don't trust me the same way. My mom still asks about but she doesn't ask about my relationships. She doesn't want to get attached to someone I might betray. I don't blame her. I ran into Sarah's sister at a coffee shop 6 months ago. She was visiting from out of state and looked genuinely shocked to see me. We made awkward small talk for a few minutes. She told me Sarah was doing amazing in Seattle, that she'd gotten promoted, that she and Tom had bought a house. She seems really happy, I said, because I needed to say something. She is, her sister replied. She's with someone who actually deserves her now. The words weren't said with cruelty, just matter of fact honesty. And she was right. I think about that speech I never gave sometimes. About how I'd practiced those words over and over, memorizing every line, about how proud I was of Sarah, how much I loved her, how I'd support her dreams no matter what. The irony is that those words were true. I was proud of her. I did love her. I would have supported her dreams. But love isn't just words, practice in the mirror. Love is what do when nobody's watching, when you're tired, when you're feeling sorry for, when someone else is offering attention, think deserve. Love is choosing person over and over again, especially when it's hard. I failed that test spectacularly. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd been honest with Sarah about feeling neglected instead of cheating. If I'd communicated my needs instead of expecting her to read my mind. If I'd been secure enough in our relationship to support her during a stressful time instead of making it about me. But that's not the man I was then. Maybe I'm becoming that man now, but it's too late for Sarah. She's building with someone who was already that man when she needed him most. The punishment for cheating isn't the breakup. It's not the social exile or the family disappointment or the professional consequences. The real punishment is living with the knowledge that destroyed something beautiful, because we're too immature to appreciate what had while had it. It's knowing that somewhere out there, the love of is happy with someone else, someone who loved her better than did, someone who deserved her in ways never could. It's waking every morning knowing can't undo the worst decision ever made. To anyone reading this who's in a relationship and feeling tempted to stray, don't. Not because might get caught, but because I'll have to live with afterward. I'll have to wake every day knowing chose a moment of excitement over years of love. I'll have to watch someone else love person the way should have. And if Finn can live with that, or probably not mature enough to be in a relationship anyway. I practiced day and night for her farewell speech, but when I stood with the mic in my hand, she walked out holding another man's arm, leaving me speaking to an empty corner of the hall. 2 years later I'm still talking to empty corners, and nobody's listening anymore.